Welcome to the Helping Writers Become Authors podcast. I'm KM Weiland, and I am here to take you deep with story theory, writing techniques, and the incredible wisdom of story. I believe story is the greatest power on this earth, and that as writers, we carry the torch of wielding that power with responsibility, passion, and skill. There is no such thing as just a story. Today, it is my honor and my purpose to help you write your best story, astound the world, and maybe change your life. Hello and welcome. You are listening to Season 17, Episode 6. This podcast is sponsored by all of you who listen to it, and particularly those who support my work by donating on patreon.com. So thank you for your generous support. Today's episode is sponsored by Demonza.com. As one of the leading names in book cover design right now, they have designed most of my book covers, and they are currently offering free book cover reviews. Whether you're about to publish or you're just curious how your cover stacks up, this review is a no-brainer. This will give you a fresh, informed perspective that offers crucial insight into how your book cover performs in today's competitive market. So don't miss this chance to make your book unforgettable. It's totally free, and all you have to do is visit demonza.com/review/WBA to get started. That's demonza.com/review/WBA. And now, welcome to this week's episode. Your character's 3 choices. Character goal examples for writers. Most writers understand that strong character goals are essential to a compelling story. But did you know that within every plot, 3 distinct types of goals shape every character's journey? These are fundamental, primary, and secondary goals. In exploring these character goal examples for writers, you can gain a clearer understanding of how character, plot, and theme work together seamlessly. Inspired by Robert Fritz's concept of human choice-making, these 3 types of goals offer a practical framework for creating characters whose decisions resonate deeply with readers. At the heart of every memorable story is a character driven by choices. Some grand and overarching, some small, but significant. Robert Fritz's framework, found in his book, The Path of Least Resistance, Learning to Become the Creative Force in Your Own Life, identifies 3 types of choices we all make in real life. As writers, this can help us better understand the cause and effect of our characters' motivations and plot actions, not only to discover their most prominent plot goals, but to also understand the deeper motivations and perspectives driving those goals. As defined by Fritz, fundamental choices define who characters are at their core. Primary choices shape characters' immediate journeys, and secondary choices influence the actions characters take along the way. Understanding these layers allows you to build characters whose desires, conflicts, and growth feel authentic, providing a solid foundation for powerful storytelling. More than that, we can see a parallel between each of these layers and the 3 most important engines of story: plot, character, and theme. Each of Fritz's choices corresponds to one of the big 3. When crafting strong character goals, it's important to recognize not every choice characters make carries the same weight. Fritz's framework of fundamental, primary, and secondary choices provides a practical guide for writers looking to create well-rounded characters. Each type of choice serves a distinct purpose, establishing characters' core identities and driving their moment-to-moment decisions. So, let's break down each of the 3 choices to examine how they work together to create dynamic characters. Number 1, the fundamental choice equals your story's theme. On his website, in an article titled The Fundamentals, Fritz says, there is a type of choice upon which all other choices rest, and that is the fundamental choice. Fundamental choices are about orientation, states of being, the ground you stand on. There are 4 major fundamental choices we recommend to people, and they are the choice to be healthy, the choice to be free, the choice to be true to yourself, and the choice to be the predominant creative force in your own life. As the foundation of the other choices, the fundamental choice is the underlying motivation for all subsequent choices and actions. Think of it as your character's prime directive. This is their guiding principle, their deepest reason. As such, it can sometimes be buried so deeply it isn't consciously obvious even to themselves. The fundamental choice will usually align with the deepest and most thematic layers of the lie the character believes and or the story's thematic truth, or the thing the character needs. Most likely, it will exist on an abstract level. For example, if a story's thematic truth is Fritz's choice to be free, characters may not be conscious of it as such. Rather, they may personally frame this thematic truth as something more practical to their specific lives, such as, I choose not to submit to my tyrannical boss. Of course, this practical, more specific choice could also be the emergent of a different fundamental choice. For example, it could emerge from any of the fundamental choices cited by Fritz. And this is where we start to discover the wonderful complexity available within the seemingly simplistic concept of a story's lie and truth. Even though life seemingly points to only a very small handful of absolute truths, all of which are abstract to at least a certain degree, the ways they can play out in the specifics of individual lives and stories is infinite. Note, too, that in contrast to Fritz's examples, a character's fundamental choice need not always be a positive representation of a story's truth. It may just as likely represent the lie itself, such as when a misanthropic character bases subsequent choices on a fundamental belief in the worthlessness of mankind. It is also possible that characters who hold positive fundamental truths will have to work through lies manifesting on lower levels that are holding them back from fully embodying the positive choice. This might be the case with a character whose positive fundamental goal is to be free, but who holds a lower level lie. For example, that aggression is the only way to escape. So here are some examples of fundamental character goals. Band of Brothers. The soldiers' fundamental goal is to serve their country and what they believe is the greater good. This is based on their fundamental choice to be loyal to each other and committed to their duty no matter the cost. This is their core state of being, brotherhood and honor above all. Pride and Prejudice. Although largely in a reactionary role throughout the story, Elizabeth Bennet's plot goals emerge from her fundamental choice to stay true to herself and her values, prioritizing integrity and genuine connection over societal expectations. Coming to America. Prince Akeem's fundamental goal of honoring true love is based on the fundamental choice to be true to himself and find genuine love rather than simply fulfilling royal expectations. Number 2, the primary choice equals your story's character arc. In the Co-Creation Handbook, Elida Birch describes the primary choice like this. A primary choice is a choice which supports the fundamental choice. For example, if happiness is one of your fundamental choices, then you might take time out from your usual routine to do something that reminds you of your choice to be happy. Or you might choose to be employed in a meaningful job, thereby fulfilling your fundamental choice to create a purposeful life. Or you might choose to commit to a more healthful diet to support your fundamental choice to be healthy. The primary goal that results from this choice will likely represent your story's overall plot goal. This is the thing your character wants, which will motivate all subsequent actions in the plot. For example, if a character's fundamental goal is to be free, then the primary goal, the plot goal, might be to overthrow the tyrannical boss and restore worthy leadership to the company, which is, of course, an archetypal queen arc, which you can find out more about in my book, Writing Archetypal Character Arcs, if you're interested. Depending on the type of character arc your story features, the primary goal can ultimately be aligned with either the lie or the truth. As mentioned before, even if your characters hold a positive fundamental goal, the primary goal might still represent the foundational lie they must overcome in order to be successful in achieving the worthy purpose represented by the fundamental choice. For example, in a different story, a character with the positive fundamental goal of freedom might have to work through a misaligned primary goal resulting from a lie, such as the only way I can assure my own freedom is to control others. In most stories, the thing the character wants, and therefore the primary goal, will start out aligned with the lie. This doesn't necessarily mean the want itself is negative, but it does mean the character must learn to adapt more effective and positive primary goals on their way to gaining, or sometimes giving up, the want. So, some examples of primary character goals. Band of Brothers. The soldiers' fundamental commitment to their duty translates into the more specific plot concerns of doing their part as paratroopers and hopefully winning the war. Each episode in the story focuses on a specific primary goal, usually various missions such as Normandy, Market Garden, and Bastogne, that support the larger fundamental goal. Each soldier chooses to endure the hardships of war, physical exhaustion, fear, and loss, because of their commitment to each other and the mission. Pride and Prejudice. Elizabeth makes difficult primary choices based on her fundamental commitment to her own values and integrity. She chooses not to marry for convenience or wealth, even when pressured, because it would compromise her self-respect and beliefs. She also demonstrates how primary goals can evolve over the course of the story. As her perspective of Mr. Darcy becomes more accurate, she alters some of her specific decisions while coming into deeper integration with her higher truth. For example, she initially rejects Darcy's proposal of marriage, but then changes her mind. Coming to America. Prince Akeem solidifies his fundamental goal of marrying for love into the specific plot goal of traveling to Queens, New York, and pretending to be a poor immigrant in order to find a partner who loves him for himself rather than his wealth or status. And number 3, the secondary choice equals your story's plot. Fritz explains the secondary choice. Once we know what is primary, we may need to make strategic secondary choices in support of our primary choice. If we want to create health, we may need to make a series of secondary choices such as eat a healthy diet and exercise. We might not make these secondary choices if we didn't have health as a primary choice, but we gladly do them when we know our higher order organizing principle, in this case, health. Secondary goals are where things get real. If the fundamental goal is a nice abstraction and the primary goal is a specific intention, the secondary goal is the determination of actionable steps that can be taken in pursuit of those higher order goals. Within a story, these are the scene goals. This is where and how plot unfolds on a moment-to-moment basis within the story, which is also what involves character arc. In pursuit of a conscious primary goal and a perhaps unconscious fundamental goal, characters will choose the specific actions they believe will lead them to their ultimate goals. With a fundamental commitment to personal freedom and a plot goal of unseating a tyrannical boss, characters might then choose scene goals that involve petitioning management, organizing a workers' strike, or speaking to a journalist. Whether or not these scene goals are effective will prove how aligned they are with whatever overall truth is necessary for success. As characters learn and grow in the effectiveness of their secondary choices, they will also evolve their character arcs, refining any limiting beliefs or lies that are keeping them from acting in full integrity with their fundamental truth. If their fundamental goal is, however, not ultimately worthy or true, they will also have the opportunity to learn how to exchange that faulty fundamental belief for one that is more accurate and advantageous. So here are some examples of secondary character goals. Band of Brothers. The character's fundamental and primary goals translate into day-by-day, scene-by-scene decisions for each man, such as following orders, protecting comrades, storming enemy positions, and offering emotional support to one another. Pride and Prejudice. Elizabeth's pursuit of her fundamental and primary goals creates scenes in which she undertakes specific actions and responses, such as rejecting Mr. Collins's proposal, challenging Darcy's initial arrogance, and defending her family's honor. And coming to America. Akeem enacts his primary goal of finding a worthy queen by undertaking specific scene actions, such as working at McDowell's, cutting his prince's lock to hide his royal identity, and pursuing his boss's daughter despite their cultural differences. So, although you shouldn't take the correlation of each of these choices to theme, character, and plot too literally, since they are all intertwined, this exploration of fundamental primary and secondary choices can be a useful tool in creating a cohesive foundation for your story. Understanding the 3 types of character goals can help you better understand your character's inner workings and how to realistically explore the evolution of choices and actions that create compelling character arcs. By clearly defining each layer, you can craft characters whose decisions, motivations, and growth feel authentic and meaningful. This framework not only supports your character's internal journeys, but also enriches plot and enhances theme. With these distinctions in mind, you'll be able to dig deeper into your character's desires and motivations, ensuring their journeys remain consistent and powerful from start to finish. And if you're looking to dive deeper into the heart of character development and all the topics we've talked about today, such as the lie the character believes, the thematic truth, and the thing the character wants versus the thing the character needs, my book, Creating Character Arcs, is the perfect place to start. In this book, I break down the essential elements of crafting character goals and show you how these layers shape a character's transformation and tie into your story's big picture theme and plot. It's great whether you're a beginner or a seasoned writer, and can help you develop characters who resonate with readers by driving a compelling and cohesive narrative. So if you're ready to transform your characters into unforgettable, dynamic forces, you can check out the book Creating Character Arcs at retailers like Amazon or via the store on my site, helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. And I hope you'll stop by just to tell me your opinion. What are some of your favorite character goal examples for writers? Can you identify their fundamental, primary, and secondary choices? And that brings us to the end of this episode of Helping Writers Become Authors. I hope you'll stop by the site for a full transcript of this episode and to join in the conversation in the comments. Tune in for next week's episode, where we'll continue to explore all things writing and storytelling. If you'd like to support the podcast, it always means a ton when you take a moment to leave a quick rating or review on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or Spotify. To stay updated on all the latest content I create for you, the best way is to join my mailing list at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com/mailing list. You'll also immediately gain access to lots of free resources, including my books, Crafting Unforgettable Characters and 5 Secrets of Story Structure. For real-time connection with me, more writing advice, and behind-the-scenes glimpses, follow me on Instagram at authorkmwyland. A heartfelt thank you to each one of you for your support and enthusiasm, and especially those of you who support my work on patreon.com/kmwyland. You help make my site, this podcast, and so many other resources available to writers everywhere. So until next week, keep writing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep being true to your stories. Thank you for being part of Helping Writers Become Authors.